I have some sad news for you, but these keys are finished. I'm sure in your collection somewhere you have some of these key comic books, and at some point they were sky high and you're like, oh, this is going to be the new hit thing, the new superhero that's going to be on the big screen, or this coming out in this awesome new series, and you're holding on to hope. Well, I'm here to tell you that hope is shattered. But I'm sorry to say that these keys have died. They are not going to climb back up to their high heights that they were before. No, these are going to stay where they are, down below, and probably will never rise again. So what is a dead key? A dead key is a comic book that at one point was very popular, maybe because of the first appearance of a character, maybe because of a cover, who knows what it is, but that's what a key is. Now these keys have shot way high up, and then they have since fallen. But there is no path forward for these keys to ever rise again to their same heights that they were before. Think of a Black Panther #2 first appearance of Shuri. I mean, yes, look at that graph. It goes way up and then goes down, and it's just been steadily going down and probably flatline. It'll stay there pretty much permanently. What is not a dead key? Something like a Hulk 340, where yes, it went sky high and has come way down from its high heights. But there is hope on the horizon for it to rise again. As you can see, it has slowly been coming back up, and that is a forever key. So unlike comic book characters that even though they die in the comics, somehow they come back to life, I've made a list of key comic books that will be dead and stay dead. Invincible Iron Man #9, first full appearance of Riri Williams, aka Ironheart. In a 9.8, it is currently selling for $80. What was it at its peak? It was up to $1,000. That is down 92%. This comic book is not coming back. Nowhere near to its heights of $1,000, pretty much ever in its existence. Now sure, could it slightly come up from $80? Yeah, maybe down the line, but I have a suspicion that it's probably going to go for even less than $80 in the near future. West Coast Avengers #45, First White Vision, a 9.8, is currently selling for $170. You know what it's selling not too long ago? $19.50. That's right, almost $2,000 it was selling for. That is down at 91%. Now I know they're making a White Vision TV show. I think it's almost done filming, but who knows if they'll actually be released. But in any case, you're thinking, well, it's gonna go right back up. No, it will not. It will not even come close to the $2,000. You give it 1,000 years, it won't come back to the $2,000. I'm sorry, but this is gonna stay down where it is. Virgins of Superman #2, first appearance of Jonathan Kent. A 9.8 is currently selling for $84. What was it selling back in its heyday? Not too long ago. $825, almost 10 times that. Down 90%. I could not believe that. I thought it was ridiculous that it was going for so high back when it was new. And pretty much anything in that series of, Son of Kal-El. No, those aren't coming back. Noctera #1. It's currently selling for $34. It once was selling for $163. This is for a 9.8. These are all 9.8s. That's down 79%. The only reason this had any sort of oomph behind it is because before it even came out, people were talking about how it was optioned for some movie. And I've told this a million times. Just because it's optioned, that's like step 1 of 50 before your movie even gets made. So it's like, yeah, okay, it's optioned. Okay, now you have to have a screen. Now you have to have a scripter. Now you have to have actors and directors and all that kind of stuff. And you know how many times they have all those things and still gets shelved or it doesn't move forward? All the time. Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu #2. This was a nothing book, just literally nothing book. And then they come out with the TV series, and then Ethan Hawke plays a character that was in one comic book and one comic book only, and it was this comic book. And it went all the way up to $530 for a 9.8. It currently sells for now $63. That's down 88%. Now, $63 for a 9.8 for a book that's in I think mid-80s? Sure. For a 9.8, sure. That's probably well. It's slightly above case cost, and that is a fine place for it. But don't expect this book to ever go anything, anywhere. Dude, I would never even expect in 10 years for this book to be above $150. Not sure, because of inflation, it might go up slightly, but that's about it. Vengeance #1, first appearance of American Chavez. Now, she was in Doctor Strange #2. Pretty much worthless part, just kind of was there, existed. Anyways, in a 9.8, at one point it was selling for $2,000. That was quite a bit. What does it sell for now? $230. That is down by 89%. It's not coming up anytime soon. It'll probably continue to go down from where it is. Now, most of these, if you look at the graph, they pretty much have stayed flat for a very long time for the last probably couple years. Maybe slightly going down. That's kind of like where it's going to be. And everyone's favorite Spider-Man, Spider-Boy, first appeared in Spider-Man number 7. It was selling at one point for $80. Not too bad for a 9.8. What has a recent one sold for a 9.8? $10. $10. That is less the case cost. That means if you happen to get it and it's in perfect condition and you're like, this is a 9.8 for sure, and then you send it off to CGC and it gets a 9.8, that's what you wanted. Yes, it's $10. It will cost you more to have it graded, shipped there, insured, all that stuff, which is case cost is probably around $40 for a book like that. To have it shipped there, come back to you, and only to lose money. And that's if you got it for $0. So I hope that you got this comic book for $. It's the only way that you could possibly make money. King Spawn number 1. This was the number 1 selling comic book of the year. And it sold 500,000 copies. That's quite a bit. So what was it selling for when it first came out? A lot of these comic books, sometimes when they first come out, there's high highs and then they drop. Which is crazy to think that this book, which is probably a cover price of what, like $4.99, $5.99, sold for $101 as a 9.8, and this started going down. It is now recently sold for $16. $16, that's down 84%. But I don't understand is why someone would pay $101 for a CGC 9.8 when they printed 500,000. 500,000 of those copies. You could have gone to any comic book store and picked it up for cover price, anywhere you want. Then you could have sent it off yourself and get it graded. Okay, say you don't want to take the time and do all that. Out of 500,000 copies out there, I guarantee you there'll be more 9.8s somewhere available. You could have waited a little bit and got it for $16. Immortal Hulk number 2, first appearance of Dr. Fire. At one point, a 9.8 was selling for $450, which seems insane because now it's $57, down 87%. Now this is basically where this book is going to sit. It's pretty much almost around case cost and probably could go a little lower, maybe a little higher, but that's it. This book isn't coming back. It's done. It is finished. Thor 165, first full appearance of Adam Warlock in a 9.4. It's currently selling for $1,560. That's $1,560. At one point, not too long ago, a few years ago, it was selling for $10,000. Now, I don't know about you, but for a 9.4, $10,000, down 84%, yikes. Now, that's not to say that this book at some point might creep up a little bit past its $1,500. It could probably even go down even more. But do you think it's ever going to come close to $10,000 again? No. Captain Marvel 17, the second printing. First Camilla Khan. And a 9.8, it's currently selling for $481. Not bad. Trending down, of course. But what was it selling in its heyday? What was selling at its peak popularity when it is the most keyest of keys? $4,500 for a 9.8. That is down 89%. And of course, what I mentioned earlier, Black Panther number 2, first appearance of Shuri, and a 9.8. At one point, it's selling for $1,300. That's quite a bit of money. Now it's selling for $92, down 93%. Now here's the thing. Of all the characters on this list, I mean, Shuri had the most promise. Pretty much had her own movie in Black Panther number 2. She was front and center. Still didn't do anything for the comic book. Yes, it went up during its time, but overall it's just back down. It keeps on dropping more and more and more. Now here's one that's probably everyone's favorite one. And they probably all had it. And they probably took out the panel and they pinned it on their wall. Batman Damned number 1. Now the only reason this is even a key to begin with, which is not really a key to begin with, but people thought it was a key, is because it showed Batman's dong. That's right. People went out in droves, went to their comic book shops, dropped so much money getting all the dongs that they could. They wanted to post them all over their wall. In any case, a 9.8 for this book was selling for $300. Now it currently sells for $50. That's down 83%. Imagine if Batman's wiener shrunk by 83%. Would people even still buy it? Moon Knight number 1 from 1980. At its peak, this is ridiculously. This book was printed so much and it wasn't that popular when it first came out. And so there's a lot of high grade of this one. But I find this funny because at one point it's selling for $13.50. $13.50. That's right. People were so feverish about this book, they needed to get this book. And let me tell you, there's another book on this list that people were even more feverish about, which was insane to me. And now it's selling for $2.50. That is down 81%. Avengers 8, first appearance of Kang. Now, this is an old Silver Age book. Yeah, it still has some value. But the Kang keenness has been tarnished so much that, first of all, do you think Kang is really going to be in any more movies or anything like that? Probably not. Is it still going to hold its value, what it's currently at, and $850? Possibly, yeah. There's a lot of people that still want the run. So I'm not saying that these keys are going to go to zero. That's not what I mean at all. I'm just saying that their best days are behind them. Their keenness days are gone. And now they've probably going to stick to where they're at. Because at one point, this same 8.5 was selling for $5,635. That is down 85%. And the thing is, it's not just like, oh, you know, it went down 90%, now sells for 10, once sold for 100. This is selling for thousands of dollars. So this person, if they sold it, whoever bought it for $5,600, is losing almost $5,000. Fenders 17, first appearance of the Wrecking Crew. Now, this is not the first appearance of these characters individually. No, this is just the first appearance of the bad guy team. Because of the She-Hulk TV show, this one comic book shot up to $1,027 in a 9.8. It is now selling for $300. That is down 71%. Just because they were in the show and not even prominent. It wasn't like they were the main bad guys. Thor #1 from 2014. You know, this is when, you know, Jane Foster becomes Thor. That became the storyline of the Thor movie. In any case, why? I don't know. But in any case, this was selling for $516, now currently selling for $44, which is case cost down 90%. Imagine you send this book in and you get a 9.6. So a 9.6 is less than case cost. Savage She-Hulk #1 in a 9.8. Now you're like, David, how can you put this on his list? She-Hulk is a very popular character. Yes, she is. She's a very popular character. But she also came out in a comic book where they had a very high print run, and a lot of people didn't buy it. So what happens 40, 50 years later with that comic book, there's a lot in high grade. So comic books are simple supply and demand. It is now selling for $256 for a 9.8, which doesn't seem bad for that book. Because once again, supply and demand. There's a lot of 9.8s out there. Now, I'm not saying that this book is never going to go up to 300 again, or, you know, or maybe the dropping's not done. Maybe it could go down to 200. But my point is, it's never going to reach its heights ever again. Even come close to these heights. That's the thing. It's not even. It's not like, oh, it's going to come close, like regain 90% of it. No. It's not even going to come close. It was once selling for 9.8, $2,307. Yep, that's right, down 89%. It's not going to come close to that anytime soon. And it's probably not really going to all of a sudden shoot up. It's a dead key. Future State Wonder Woman #1 and a 9.8. This was selling for $250. Now selling for $25, down 90%. And these are real sales. These are not just made up sales. And I'm just like sticking my finger to the wind, thinking that this is what they're worth. No. These are actually sold things. Someone paid money. They took out their money from their money bin, and then they gave it to a person, and that person in exchange for the money, for the dollars, or the yen, or the rubles, or the rubies, if you're in Zelda land, and then exchange for this book. Those are actually dollars sold. That's where I get this data. This is actually sales data, not just made up data, not fair market value, real sales. Amazing Fantasy #1 first appearance of Anya, and a 9.8. It currently sells for $61. Not bad, slightly above case cost. Okay, for a minor key. Emphasis on the minor part. And at one point, it's selling for $595. That is down 90%. What about Totally Awesome Hulk #22, Weapon H? This is where they had that Hulk Wolverine hybrid. Kind of cool in a way, I guess. You know, just combining two of the coolest characters. Sure, why not? Anyways, a 9.8 was at one point selling for $201, now selling for $52, down 74%. Now $52 for a 9.8, that's probably where it will stay, at $52, slightly above case cost. Now, is it probably going to go up to $55? Sure. Someone could go out and buy it for $60? Sure. Is it ever going to go up to $200? No, not even close. Is it all of a sudden going to gain like 30% in a single month? No, it's not. It's not going to start shooting up. So it's going to pretty much meander around where it is. And the #1 dead key of all time. Of all time. Anyone who follows my channel will know exactly what it is. It is Eternals. And it's not eternal. Apparently they're not. Eternals is not eternal because they're dead. And they're not coming back anytime soon. And not even in my lifetime. And maybe you're thinking, David, you're not going to live that long. So therefore your lifetime could be tomorrow. And all of a sudden after I die, Eternals shoot up. No, I don't think so. So the average American lifetime. So the next 72 years, 73 years, whatever it is, not going up anytime soon. Because right now, it is selling for a 9.8. It is selling for $252. Now that's not bad. That's probably where it'll remain. Somewhere between like $150 to $300 is probably where it's going to sit. Because the movie was so great and it spawned millions of sequels. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong timeline. That's right, the movie sucked and spawned no sequels, and they are trying to bury it under the rug. Well, maybe you shouldn't hire a director who's most notably known for making a horrible movie about a woman pooping in a bucket. That's some indie film. Yes. Oh, I made this movie for $5 about a woman pooping in a bucket and living in a van down by the river. And yes, let's invest in her and give her this $300 million movie. And what's her work experience before that? Just the pooping in the bucket and a couple like little tiny little things. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Here's this $300 million movie budget, just so we can say we had some, I don't even know if she's indigenous, but some woman as the director of this film. And by the way, I can't remember how many Eternals were in it, but she wanted to like triple that. So in any case, yes, it has dropped from $252 all the way from at its peak at $3,800, down 93%. And it will probably stay there for a long time. It is never going to go back up to $3,800 for a 9.8. I'm sorry, it will not. But in any case, letting you know what you think of these keys that will never rise again. Have a good day.